What's up, y'all? Uh, it's your favorite off-grid oracle, if not the only off-grid oracle. Shish, oh shish, no way. Out here keeping it real on the spiritual ranch. So, a little update on y'all watch one of my shorts or whatever, see any of that stuff I put out here on YouTube. Did one about building a greenhouse, and I've done some little drops here and there about, starting vegetables and stuff in the wintertime by the wood stove, And so everything's growing pretty good. I had to bring it out here because, of course, it expands quickly. And I've made several more plantings since then, but I got peppers coming up, and I got some zucchini and cucumbers and tomatoes, lots of stuff. Starting to grow a little faster now. We're getting some sun. It's starting to warm up. It was like 75 today, so real clear. We had a lot of rain this week, so that slowed things down, but I've been kind of pricking out some of my tomato starts and getting them a little bit more space here before we set them out in the garden here in a couple weeks. And so that's going good, making lots of progress there, And then we got some beets over here too. I need to move these guys. They get a little morning sun, but I need to move them out of the sun and out of shade into the sun. But anyhow, we're just out here doing it, watching the world fall apart. It's pretty funny, one piece at a time, man. I've been praying to God about that for years. I've been saying, hey, man, just teach them a lesson, make them learn it. They're gonna. Yeah, we're all seeing that, that's for sure, That's why I always try to keep things simple, keep things around me that I know I could repair if I need to, and that I know I can accumulate parts pretty easily with spare trucks and stuff like that, keep you on the road, keep going, and especially at times like these that we're getting ready to see, I got a whole stockpile of parts for my pickup stuff, and so, but that's what I'm making this little video on here today, because I've been working on a project. You can see I'm a little dirty, but I've been working on the old Ford I got out here. It's an 86 f-350 IDI diesel, it's international motor. But those old diesel engines, they got steel tanks on them, and so diesel draws moisture out of the air, and so it condensates, and so you get a lot of sludge and stuff in the tanks after a good amount of time, and so that truck's damn near as old as I am, and so it's got a lot of buildup, a lot of sludge. And then I've been running some questionable fuel and stuff out of some of my beater trucks out here just because springtime things are tight, right? Anyway, so I have a $6 fuel, man. You gotta let it sit in your rig, But with these trucks too, you can run anything on them. You can run them on anything, any kind of oil, vegetable oil. You can run them on anything. Old crankcase oil, transmission fluid, anything that's petroleum. It's not gasoline. You can't use a high octane fuel that'll burn them up. You gotta use oil, But I've been doing a lot of that too with this engine. So eventually you'll start getting a lot of sludge in your tank, and then that sludge, it'll start plugging up your filters. It'll give you a lot of problems, And so the pickup here, she's been giving me a little headache. Went in town the other day. Hadn't gone to town a couple months. Didn't make back. Got to call an old boy out here. He gave me a ride down, got some filters. I made her home. So now I got to clean out those tanks. Anyhow, I'm going to show you all about that. But first, I was going to show you a beautiful day out here. Absolutely gorgeous out here. Real springtime, full in effect, I show you this, looks like this out here in February and everything, but it's a little different. But it's still beautiful, And then out in the garden here, we got some stuff going on and getting ready to really knock this out now. I got all those plants I got to put somewhere. And so I got a lot of stuff going here, though. In these beds, I got them planted, You can see I got some peas coming up there, another second planting of peas, and some brassicas and stuff here. I got more carrots and peas over there. They ain't quite popped yet, but then peas right there. I did a little video on those peas, and the green onions are coming up, and carrots, pak choy, and celery. And so it's happening. I'm really excited, Hopefully I can get a hand out here, maybe get lucky, Little guy, he does his best with his paws, But I got these rock beds I've been working on too here. Got a lot of it in a greenstone belt, so I got a lot of beautiful stones, and some poppies coming up. I'm gonna do another bed here. I was watching a documentary or a little thing here on YouTube, I guess. It was a practice they had, I think it was in Zimbabwe, where they do keyhole gardens is what they call them. And so they take and make a big circular garden, and then they have a keyhole, like this one I made here. It kind of came out heart-shaped a little bit, but what they do is they put their compost in a natural fiber, so it just sticks, make a basket right here at the end of this. So you come in, you put your compost in the middle, and then you put your garden around your compost. It's called a keyhole garden. I don't know how to add links and stuff like that, but it was a really interesting video. And so I'll probably do some of that here, plant some flowers and stuff. Getting really excited for it all. It's been a lot of work, you know, to get to this point. You know, life's crazy. Sometimes, you know, you go on that journey, you get chosen by God, and they take you on a journey, and it could be a wild journey. But I feel like mine's finally getting somewhere, you know, and that's exciting, you know. And so there's the update on the ranch. Been a lot of work put into this here place just to get to this point, you know, and now I'm really excited about going all the way with it, you know. And it's gonna look good. It's gonna be a nice house. It's gonna be a good place to grow a garden for God's people. That's what we're working on right now. And the shows have been activated, you know, and so you can feel it in the air, you can feel it in the energy, and things are getting ready to change, people. It's time to be resourceful. And if there's one thing I know, Shesh knows how to be resourceful. And that's going to be a valuable tool right now, coming into these times that we're coming into. I've been telling this to people for years, you know, and everybody thinks I'm crazy. Some of the things I always kept around, but my grandpa told me, you know, even jars were worth their weight in gold. Any jar during the Great Depression. You didn't throw away nothing. And that's how they were, too. They kept everything, you know. And a lot of them old Great Depression people were like that. They'd have, like, newspapers and cardboard boxes and cans and like jars, canning jars, shit like that, you know, just because they're like, they needed them. You couldn't get that stuff. You're not gonna be able to get that stuff now. It all comes off boat coming from China. I've been telling people this for years, you know, and I hate to be the one that says I told you so, but I'm gonna say right now, everybody's stupid because it's obvious, you know, it's been obvious. You can't run a world like this. This world's being ran. We gotta know how to be resourceful. We call that the word for the day. Resourceful. It doesn't hurt. It's not a painful experience to be resourceful. It won't kill you. I promise you. You know, you might have to let go of a few things and detach a little bit, but that just carries a lighter load. So, resourceful, folks. That's the word of the day. Anyhow, before I start talking more shit, let's get to this thing. Yeah, here's my side tanks. These pickups is 1986 f-350. Got the diesel 6.9 liter IDI in it. This is the side saddle tank. It's a steel tank, you know, so they get rust inside. A lot of times you'll have issues with rust or scale. You know, my issue was sludge, and so there's not a whole lot of rust in this tank. You can see it's real clean. You'll know that right away when you undo the hose. See, that's the hose right there. That's where you put your thing in the gas station, and then the hose fuel goes down in there, right? That attaches right here. It's an 8mm hose clamp. This is your vent hose. Make sure you don't kink this hose or damage this hose when you put the tank back in, because if you do, it won't properly fill the at the filling station when you go put fuel in it. And so this right here, this is your vent for the top of your tank. You want to see how you can see this one here? It's a little plugged up. See? So you're gonna want to clean that all out really good. Some good clean diesel. Make sure your rubber's good. This one's good, you know, and that goes right here. And these pickup trucks, they have on the bottom of your pickup line here, because this is your pickup line, your return line, boot with your this is your fuel gauge. This is a sensor, it's a float for your fuel gauge right there. See that float that tells you how much fuel you got. So on these pickups, they have a plastic boot that was on their pickup that came off from here, and it has a screen on the bottom of it. And those always go bad. They break. They just fall to pieces. They'll cause you a lot of problems. They'll plug your fuel lines, create all kinds of problems. Every time I've ever dropped a tank on one of these, the boot is always bad. It's always like this, just shattered at the bottom of the tank, you know. And so you got to get that stuff out. That's like a little filter that goes on the bottom. It looks like a shower head. To get that part out, to get your fuel sensor gauge out, you just have to take this little ring. It's a keyhole ring like that, and then you just drive it in. You take a screwdriver or a punch, and then loosens it up. You know, make sure your gasket's good right here, and make sure that this rubber gasket right here is good, or otherwise you're gonna have leaks, dry air, and that can cause you a lot of headache. You know, when you put your sensor back in, when you plug it in right here, that's where it plugs in. Put yourself a little grease in there. You'll thank yourself later if you have to take it apart again. And then, so this right here, these little screws are a 7/32. You have 3 little screws right here that attaches your line there. And then to get your tank out, it's very simple. It's just usually you're gonna make sure you got a wire brush. You're gonna have your that right there is your brush guard. So that's your brush, your skid plate, you know. And those are attached by it's a 13/16 on the top. You got a bolt with a nut on the bottom that's a 15/16. And then you need a 10/6. That's for the straps. See these straps right here. And then for your plate, it's a 10 millimeter. And so you got 15/16 and 13/16 or 15 millimeter and 13 millimeter. Sorry. Anyways, but so then to drop it, you just got to pull that skid plate down, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts on that one, and then you got these 2 bolts over here that hang the strap off from the frame. And it just comes right down on your lines with this pickup. They got these little plastic clips that go in there, and that's the thing that you want to take care of with them little plastic clips. Because if you don't got extra parts here like I do, I got extra trucks, you know, and I just go pull another clip, they break. And so I think you could get them down at the Napa or whatever, but they do break, and you don't want to be driving around without that clip on there. That could cause you a lot of grief, you know. And so it's just got a little. I'll show you one here. It's got a little. It's got these little clips, you know, and they got 2 little holes in there in the pipe that just clips up in there, you know, and it clips it in. So. But you gotta be careful with these. They're plastic. They'll break, you know. And so if you don't got an extra truck, you use caution. If they do break, I'm pretty sure you can get them out. I don't think they're that hard to get. It shouldn't be. Go down to a junkyard. You can find them. There's a big yard. On the back here, again, very simple. You got that 13 millimeter and the 15 millimeter nut and bolts, you know, that you got. There's the stud coming down right there. There's 4 of those. That removes your skid plates. There's 2 skid plates on this, and then the tank's not strapped in. It's just bolted up there with them skid plates. You have to unfasten your hose with that 8 millimeter for that strap, you know, or that clamp. And then again, you got your 2 hoses right there. You got your return line and you got your feed line. And so once you get your tanks out, okay, so now with my rear tank, so I haven't used my rear tank as often. I've been using it for a little bit. This truck was a barn score. And so he went to the top end of the fuel system with the lines, and he did a aftermarket fuel water separator, but he didn't do no work on the tanks. And so this tank went bad on me. Probably I quit using it about a year ago or something, I think. Maybe it's even around Thanksgiving. But you can see here with this tank, see it was a little bit worse. And so right as soon as you pull it, that hose, I can see that grime in there. You can see that grime in there? And that's rusty. That's ugly. That's usually pretty bad. If the whole tank is like that, you're kind of done for. This one, I think I could get in there and brush that off, because the inside of the tank, I can't show you here at this phone, but the inside of the tank looks pretty decent. And so I might go ahead and try to salvage this one. Otherwise, I got a fuel truck. I got a gasoline truck over here that it has extra tank, same tank in the back end, you know. Gasoline doesn't have the same problem with the rust and stuff. And so if you get a bad tank, you know, you can swap one out of gasoline rig or whatever, or you got to clean them up, you know. With these, they're so sludgy. What I'm going to do, I got a big pot of water in here. I'm boiling on the wood stove, you know. If you're watching any of my videos, I like to do the wood stove, you know. It's a very useful tool for a hillbilly. And so, what I'm going to do, though, is, I'm going to boil that big pot of water. And I'm going to take some lye, sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide works great. You know, some people, they frown on it. You just rinse that stuff out of there real good. Slosh some old diesel or some clean diesel in there, you know. Not old diesel, but, you know, it don't have to be the best diesel. As long as there's no water in it and rust and stuff, let it all settle out. Just give it a little wash out with that so you get some of that water out of there and that lye. Rinse it really good. Put your tank upside down, rinse it. You get that lye out of there, you know. But some people, if you don't rinse it good, you get that lye. You don't want to run that lye through your block, you know. And so, but that lye cuts through the varnish and all that nastiness. You know, like this truck, I said, it sat in a barn. And so it's got a big, thick layer. The old fuel, it just varnished the inside of that tank, or the first tank I showed you, that saddle tank. I had to scrape that thing with the scraper, you know, and a lot of sludge came out of there. It was pretty gnarly. But it's been like that. I've been getting some pretty gnarly sludge in my filter, you know, because what happens is it makes algae too, you know. With time, you get that water in there, and then algae grows in there, you know. The algae eats the diesel, and that creates sludge. And what happened to me is out here, you know, they close roads out here. We get these big slides and stuff, so the main highway is closed. And so I go around the roundabout way. It's a real bumpy gravel road. And so you get going on that bumpy road, it mixes all that sludge up in your fuel, you know, and suck it up in your filters. It plugs your filters, because otherwise it just stays down there kind of slurring right on the very bottom. You know, the fuel floats on top of all your water and all your sludge. That's probably the only one of the perks is that my that pickup, that little thing was broken, you know. So I was picking up fuel from probably 1.5 inches up off the bottom of my tank, so I didn't get a whole lot of sludge. Most of the time I was able to run it, and I put fuel in there, and sludge stayed down underneath where I was picking it up. But when I shook it up, then it sucked that stuff up in there, and it gives me problems, you know what I mean? Not fun, man. But that's what it is. It gives you the adventure, man. It's life, you know. Yeah, got a couple gals probably left me because they didn't like waiting on my pickup truck, but I said, honey, I always gonna wait on my pony, man. You know, that's what it is, man. She does me right. Sometimes she don't, man. But most of them she always do be wrong. I don't know. But that talk for another day, right? So what else? Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead. I put some lye water in there, and I'm gonna scrub it real good, rinse it real good, and I'll bring it in here by the wood stove, and I'll let it dry out overnight really good. And then again, I'll flush it out in the morning just in case there's a little rust in there. I'll flush it with some clean diesel, and then I'll put it back up in there. Before I put it up in there, though, I'm gonna take and disconnect my lines up here in the front end of the pickup truck. And then you want to take air with your compressor. You want to blow all your lines out, get all that out of there, get everything, get them all cleaned up, you know. And then you zip zap zop, man. You put fuel in it and you're on the road, you know. To solve the problem with that pickup for the in the tank, you know, for that front saddle tank, what you do is you just take yourself a little piece of rubber, like surgeon's tubing or some fuel line, you know, a little 3/8 fuel line, and you cut a V in the bottom of it, and you put that on there, so you get that thing, so it sits about a 1/2 inch up, but you know, 1/4 inch above the bottom of the tank, you know, and then that V's there, so if it hits the bottom of the tank or whatever, it'll keep sucking. You won't get stuck on the bottom of the tank, suction from the suction, you know. And so it's a real easy fix. I don't know why they didn't do that in the first place. Sells all these parts from China, you know. It's what it is, man. But I've been planning. I've been really preparing. All these people talking about buying gold, man, and all this shit that you can't even hold on to. You can't eat that stuff, you know. I'm gonna plant beans, milo, broom corn, bloody butcher, field corn, man. And then I got me this Country Gym, I think it's called. Real pretty sweet corn, man. They all dry farm real well, you know. Blue Hubbard squash, yeah. And so we'll be eating good out here on Spiritual Ranch. And then, you know, I got all kinds of that little shit. I pick it up, man. People throw stuff away like you wouldn't believe out here. And so I've always been bringing home stuff. I got everything I need, little nuts and bolts and all that stupid shit. I'll get the job done, but people out here are going to be twiddling their thumbs, not knowing what to do with themselves, you know. Same way I'm fixing this old rig back here. It don't take jack shit, man. I spent half the afternoon on it. I got both these tanks dropped. I'm going to get up in the morning, have me some coffee. I'll put these tanks back in. I'll be done with this by the afternoon, you know, and it'll be rocking and rolling. And this truck just always keeps rolling, man. It just keeps going, you know. And if this was any other rig, it'd be dead already. 20 years is about what you get out of there. This truck's damn near 40, man. And so, anyways, I can sit and ramble on about that all day long. But I'm gonna drop y'all another video once I get these tanks back in there. I'll do a video on blowing out the lines. And then I'll show you kind of how I got it all put back together, and then blowing out those lines, and then how you bleed the system too afterwards. You got to bleed it, got to get all the air out of it. You know, if you don't get the air out of it, it'll give you hell and a nightmare. You know, so but it's easy, nothing to it, man. It's all easy. It's just a matter of making yourself do it and knowing you can. You know, and so we'll see you on the next one. Hang in there, y'all. It's gonna be a wild ride. Just your shit's not knowing the way. Hey, I'll check you out later.